everyone, it's Amber Spotted Elk at the Paper Owl and welcome to my channel. Today we have some super fun, super easy Valentine DIYs. These are some more muted colors and projects. I don't normally decorate for Valentine's Day, so I wanted to take it a little bit slow and not have anything that's too much in your face. So hopefully you enjoy these. If you do like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel. Comment below, let me know which project is your favorite. And as always, if you'd like to become part of the Paper Owl family, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified every single time that I upload. And without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, so we're starting first with this tray. Sorry, I lost a couple pieces of footage on this video. Putting this together was one of them, but I know you guys have seen trays put together. So basically, I got a couple candlesticks. One's from the Dollar Tree, the small one. The other one I got, I think at Ross on clearance for like $2. And then the middle and the top piece are both items from the Dollar Tree. That top one's just a picture frame, and then the middle is just one of those silver trays. The bottom is a silver tray actually picked up at a yard sale for very inexpensive. It is actually silver, which I didn't realize until I was cleaning it because the person that sold it to me said it wasn't, but oh well. I spray painted that, and then we're going to make some pieces to go on there. So this truck is, as you can see, from Christmas. I did not use it for Christmas, so I ended up cutting this tree out, and we're just going to kind of tear this apart and make it into a Valentine's piece now. So definitely always try and shop your stash. If you've got pieces that you didn't use for a holiday, you can absolutely use them for a different holiday and remake them. So I took that apart. I kind of sanded down what I cut off where the tree was, and you could leave that red. Absolutely, we're doing Valentine's Day, and I was going to just make it kind of a darker red. I didn't like how that was turning out. I tested it on the back side of the piece, and as I was doing this, I decided that I wanted to go for some more of those muted colors, the grays, the light pinks, that sort of thing. And I may even do some like non-traditional Valentine's Day colors. If you guys want to see some more Valentine's themed DIYs, definitely let me know. I know it's not a super big holiday that people decorate for, so excuse me, so please let me know if you'd like to see more. It would really help me out. So I don't want to put stuff up you guys don't want to see. So I'm taking Steel by Waverly in the chalk paint and just painting that. I added a couple accents of some dark gray around there, painted the wheels black, and then I took these little wooden heart stickers and painted some of the hearts just different shades of gray and different shades of pink. I used Steel, Elephant, and then Ballet Slipper for my colors from Waverly. And I love the way this turned out. So we're going to make it so that the truck is hauling these hearts versus hauling that tree that was back there. So if you wanted to, you could absolutely just leave it as the gray truck and not add anything to it, but I thought we would have it carry a little something. So I took some of the pieces that came off it originally and I just painted them white. I cleaned them up a little bit, and that will be glued to the back so that our truck can stand up nicely and doesn't have to be leaning up against anything. So I like to finish my pieces, meaning I don't like to leave like the backs not painted or anything like that. It's just a personal preference. As you can see here, the truck is painted, the back of the hearts are painted. It's just a personal preference for me. So yeah. Next up, we're going to take these Dollar Tree gnome ornaments and we're going to make them into Valentine gnomes. So I got these Waverly fat quarters from Walmart, I think, for like $1 or $2. So basically I just deconstructed the gnome and remade it into the colors that I wanted. So there was a whole bunch of like stuffing inside. And I did remove most of that. I kept some of it in there. And you can see this lovely bag of rice that I have sitting here. And I'm going to add some of that into the gnome so that it can kind of sit up on its own. These were meant to be ornaments, so there was no need for them to be sitting up. So that's why they're just filled with the stuffing. So and you could use anything. You could put like a couple rocks in there or whatever you have. You could use beans, all kinds of stuff. So anything you want to put in there to weigh it down a little bit, that's going to help it stand up. So, and then once I had that in, I basically just started recovering him, deciding what I wanted as the base, what I wanted as the hat, and the accent pieces. So I made my gnomes majority gray and then had the pink accents around their hat. So I could have left the gray body as is, but I really wanted more of the light gray look instead of the dark gray. So, but if you wanted to, for ease of remaking these, leave them gray, absolutely. You can also make your own gnomes using socks or fabric, and that's super easy. There's a ton of DIYs on those on YouTube as well. Next up, I'm going to make kind of a Scrabble word or letter holder, I guess. I'm not sure what you would call that. Scrabble letter holder is probably the most accurate. So I glue some of these tumbling tower block pieces together so that they kind of make that L shape. And then I had these little letters. They're almost like glass pieces. I got these on clearance at Hobby Lobby for, I think they were like 97 cents, and it was just like this little bag of letters. I haven't used a lot of them, so I thought this would be a great project. And I just used the Waverly Antique Wax to go over my tumbling tower blocks to give that a little bit of color. I love this antique wax, by the way. If you see it, I would definitely recommend picking it up. It's a great alternative to staining your pieces. It's a much faster dry time for very similar looks. So I love that about this stuff. I decided to spell out the word kindness. I know for Valentine's Day you can always put love and forever and always and be mine and Valentine and all that, but I really wanted something a little bit different, but still that embodies what it means to love someone or love people. Next up, I'm just taking this heart. I put a little bit of spackle in that hole to cover that up. I'm painting it again, that steel color by Waverly. Again, I am painting this front and back. And then I decide to put a little black border around it. And then I put L plus A, which of course is my husband's first initial and my first initial. And then I just carved out a little piece in one of those extra pieces that actually came off of that first truck that we did. But you could use a tumbling tower block. You could even take two of those and kind of squish this in between so that it stands up. Or you could keep that hole there that I covered with the spackling, and you could string it up if you wanted to, if that was something you were going to do. But I thought this was just kind of a fun nod to Valentine's Day, and kind of that old school person plus a person thing that everyone sees carved in trees in the movies. So just a little nod to that. And these are those hearts that you find in like an 8-pack at the Dollar Tree, which is a great deal for some little wooden pieces. I mean, just a great deal. I love the Dollar Tree. So I used a Sharpie paint marker to write on this, and I love those Sharpie paint markers. They work great. I often have a hard time with the paint markers like exploding on me when I'm writing, and so I've never had an issue with those. I take these 2 tags again from Christmas. You can see I'm using up some of my Christmas products that I didn't get a chance to DIY, and which is great. You can do that for all the holidays, which I love. And I love these little mini tag shapes. Like, I love the large tag shapes as well, but I like the mini stuff. I think anything mini is super cute. And I was going to just sand off the glitter, and I should know myself better than that. Anytime I do that, I feel like the consistency and all of that is not that great, and I usually end up just peeling the paper off, which is what I did here. So you can see, you can peel the paper off on these usually fairly easy. Sometimes it comes off in smaller pieces, but for the most part, it's not like some grueling task to get the paper off. So I use my craft knife here and there to help me, but it's overall not that hard to get this stuff off. And then it leaves you with like a nice, cleaner, smoother surface versus like sanding the glitter off or just peeling parts of it off. Like I said, I like my things to have more of a finished look, and so if it's not something I would want to give someone, then it's not something that I'm going to be happy with either. So I paint both sides of these again in that steel gray color by Waverly. And did I say I painted both sides? I think I did. Oh my goodness. It is late right now, but I want to get this done. So yes, I am painting both sides, and then I am also going to put a black border around this. What I like to do for that is hold whatever I'm painting when I'm doing a border, if I can, hold one piece to the desk and then keep my hand steadied on the table as well, so that only like my wrist or my hand is moving, so it gives me less like shaking if you tend to shake a lot and more of a straight line. I'm not going for perfection here, but I want it to be fairly consistent. So I just am using a black acrylic paint or ink by Waverly, one of those, and going around the edges just to give it a little more depth and dimension. And then I do paint around that little hole where the ribbon was, to accent that as well. And I do this border on both sides of the tags on both of them. I'm going to be adding some letters to these tags. These letters I found at Michael's on clearance a couple months back, and they're originally made for one of those boards where you can put like different sayings and stuff with the letters up. I knew I would probably be using them for some sort of DIY. They are in a pink color, so I hadn't found anything to use them for quite yet, but this was the perfect project. You can see I'm sanding this down a little bit just to, again, add a little bit of texture and dimension to the piece so it's not kind of so stark in the colors. And so I always, when you add things to whatever you're doing, I like to make it a nice clean surface. So I'm just wiping those down. And then I'm spelling out our story. And then 1 + 1 = 3. So it's my husband and I, and then our son. So I thought that was kind of a cute thing. I don't know where I originally saw that. It's probably been around forever, but so these are those pink letters, and you can see they're clear, and then they have the coloring on them. And I'm using art glitter glue. I do some paper crafting, and this glue is amazing, but you could absolutely use like Dollar Tree's glue sticks or even Mod Podge if you wanted to, but I'm just adding a couple drops on there and adhering those, and then I'm taking some of this sheer, it's like a very so light pink it looks white, but I really like that. So it's a sheer ribbon, and it's from the Dollar Tree. I'm making sure I've got these in right. I initially put these in wrong, so I put them on the same strand and then tied it at the top, where really I wanted to tie the piece on and then have the top not have the knot in it. It just strings across to the other one that's tied in the back. So I did redo that. Next up I am reusing a project I did with these frames with the wooden beads at the top. I love those frames. This Prima paper pack is called Love Story, and it's got this cute little card in it, and I am just looking for a piece of paper that is gonna go well with it, or that I like. And so I take out this marbled pink paper, and I decide that I like the way that that looks. I cut this little card down that has the story, and that has the words on it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I cannot speak. Not that that's a surprise. So I take some double-sided tape and I glue that down. Dollar Tree does sell double-sided tape in those little blue runners. So if that's something you like, there you go. I just put that together and that's it. And then I'm taking this heart wreath form and I'm cutting it down. So it's got like 5 or 6 little brackets there that's holding each piece of the heart together. So you can see there's 3 layers of this heart. This was not that hard, but because it's not that hard and these pieces aren't like super strong, some of the hearts bent a little bit. I had a couple pieces where it broke, you can see there, but it's not a big deal. We are going to be wrapping these in twine, and it actually worked out with my design on how I'm going to be putting these together. You can see I've got this twine from Hobby Lobby that was originally $19. I got it for 50% off, which is an amazing deal. Like, I can't even. I'm for what, like $9.50. That's crazy. And it's a tiny, like smidge smaller than the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and larger than like the little twine that you can get from the Dollar Tree. So I like it because if you're wrapping things, it makes it go just a little bit quicker if it's more thick. So I take and I wrap every single one of these hearts, and the piece that broke off, if you need it back in, this is a great way to add it back in, because that twine is going to help hold everything together for you. So I go around, I don't add glue all the way, I add it here and there. I do cut off the piece of twine that I'm using because it makes it a lot easier to wrap around and pull that twine through versus keeping it attached to the big bundle of yarn. So I do light my twine on fire to get all the little hairs off of there. It gives it such a much cleaner and a more put together look. So you can see I've got my 2 hearts together there. There's that piece that broke off, so I slid my middle-sized heart in there, and then I measured where I want my little heart to be, and I cut the pieces off from there, and then I'm wrapping this one in twine and attaching it through. So you can see they all kind of fit together, so they're not overlapping. I created the holes where they're going to be kind of placed in, so it looks almost like it's one big solid piece. And basically when I attach them together, I put some hot glue on the top side, and I kind of flood that area where they're meeting, that joint. I kind of flood that with hot glue. I let it dry for a minute, and then I flip the piece over and I flood the other side with hot glue just to make sure it's got a nice sturdy bond. And then I wrap that joint in some twine to reinforce it. And this actually worked great because I was taking this piece off the wall after hanging it up, and I dropped it and it like bounced around and it stayed together totally fine. So you can see it together here, and I decide I want to add just a little bit of greenery, not too much. I use a couple stems from the wildflower bunch that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and then I had some pink and gold flowers left over, and I just add those to the middle and make this little swag piece here. And I attach this with some twine just in the back instead of gluing it right to the project. I like to do that in case I want to reuse something later on, then it's not all full with hot glue, and it's possible to use it for something else if I want to. Or if I decide I like the hearts by themselves, I can take this off and there's not a big hot glue mess. So I tend to change my mind quite often. So if you're that way, that's just a little tip for you. I take some twine, I make my hanging piece, and that is it. This project is done, and I love the way this turned out. I don't know. I love it. I think it's super cute. It's not super traditional looking, and I just like it. So you can see this heart was slatted, and you could see where it connected in the back, and I just really didn't like that. So I took it all apart. It was not that hard, and then I reassembled it so that there was only a tiny little crack in between those pieces. I reused some of the braces and added those in the back to make this, of course, stick together, and that worked out great. And then, like I said, I like to have a finished product, and so in the back, I didn't want to just paint over where these braces were, where you could see that. I was going to see if that piece of craft paper was going to work, but it was not big enough, so I took my craft piece of packing paper that you can get at the Dollar Tree, traced it out, and then just added that to the back, and it just gives your pieces such a more finished look, and I just like that so much more for my products. And so I add that to the back, and then I paint the front, and I again do it in the steel gray by Waverly. Excuse me. And then I do a black frame around it. I add some spackle in the holes where the original hanging pieces were, and then I add love to this. I was going to put a full saying on there, and I hand wrote it, and I just am not like super in love with my handwriting when I'm doing projects yet. I don't know why, but I ended up liking the way the love turned out, so I kept that. I just wanted to show you guys that you don't have to have a Cricut, you don't have to have a cutting machine or anything like that. Like, you can make your own projects and make them look good. I just looked at a picture that had love on it the way I liked it, and looked at that and recreated it. So this said, let everything you do be done in love, I think is what it said. But I wrote it out first, looked where I wanted to place it, and then wrote it down. And then I take this wreath from the Dollar Tree. Sorry, you can see I'm watching YouTube in the background, so yay YouTube. And then I'm adding these pieces of greenery and these pieces of lavender. I've been wanting to say lilac, and I don't know why. It's like something's wrong with my brain. But anyway, so I add in these pieces of lavender, nothing like too crazy. I wasn't going for like full coverage or anything, so just enough to cover up the wreath as much as I wanted to. And then I add that love sign in the background, and I am so happy with how this turned out. Like, I just love it. It gives me kind of that Secret Gardens vibe, or I don't know. So I take another one of those picture frames with the wooden handle. I cut down some jumbo popsicle sticks, measure them to size of the backing. I end up needing 4 to get this done, and then I use the faux stain method, is what I like to call it. I take some brown paint and some water, and I stain my popsicle sticks. And then you can see I've got one of the little red truck ornaments with the tree, and I take that apart to remake this into a Valentine's DIY. So here's my faux staining, and then I kind of take a wet paper towel and wipe that all down. You can see it gives you that nice wood grain finish. Love that. I take the tree off, take the ornament hook, and you've got a nice little red truck. And I love that. I love the way this turned out. I take some stickers that I had found in my stash. These might actually be from the Dollar Tree. And I glue my truck down, and then I just place these stickers so that it looks like the truck is carrying these hearts much like the other one we did. I was going to paint the truck gray, but I decided I wanted to have just a pop of red in the little vignette that I'm doing. So nothing too crazy, but just a little bit, and then you can just place that right in there, and that's it. Here is my heart sign hanging up, and I love the way that this turned out. I'm so happy with it. It's just super minimal looking and just enough. It's just enough. I really, really, really like this. So let me know which one of these is your favorite below. And then here is that love wreath. Again, it just gives me these like secret garden vibes. If you guys have ever seen that movie, I love it. It's one of my favorites. And it just turned out super cute. I love that lavender in there with the gray. And then here you can see the tiered tray that we finished up. I painted it this kind of matte gray, really loving that. Here is that love is the best love is the kind that awakens the soul. Love that saying, super cute. And then of course our gnomes, our kindness Scrabble word there. And then there is our truck carrying the hearts, the L and the A. I made that little XOXO sign with some pitberry. That's some footage I lost. So, but super easy. Obviously, just put your pitberry around. And then our story, 1 + 1 = 3. So yeah, again, the pitberry, you just wrap that around into a small little wreath and put the XO sign on. Super simple. And here's our red truck carrying the hearts. I love that wooden background. I think that is super cute. Here's our other gnome. I did add that glittery sticker, but I sanded it down till it was almost gone. So I really love the way that that looks. There's everything all together,